when humans became the most dangerous animal on Earth. Imagine standing on an African plain more than 300,000 years ago. The sun is falling. In the distance, lions begin to move through the grass. Hyenas call from beyond the ridge. A leopard waits in the trees. And somewhere near a shallow river, a small group of early humans gathers close to a fire. They do not look dangerous. They have no claws, no armor, no horns. Their teeth are small, their skin is exposed, and even the strongest adult would have little chance against a lion at close range. A human alone is vulnerable, slow, and easy to kill. But these humans are not alone. One of them carries a sharpened wooden spear. Another holds a stone point shaped by hands that learned the technique from older hands. Others remember where animals crossed the river last season, where water remained during drought, and which plants could stop bleeding. They can speak, they can plan, they can share knowledge, and they can imagine an event before it happens. That combination would transform a fragile primate into the most dangerous animal on Earth. But there was no single morning when humanity suddenly became unstoppable. The change took place over hundreds of thousands of years. It began long before our species existed, when ancient human relatives first struck one stone against another and created a sharp edge. A sharp flake may not seem revolutionary today, yet for an animal without natural weapons, it was the beginning of something unprecedented. Stone allowed early humans to cut through hide-remove meat, break bones, and reach nutrient-rich marrow. It turned dead animals into valuable resources and made large bodies easier to process. More importantly, a tool could be improved. It could be copied. It could be carried. A claw is limited by biology, but a stone blade can become sharper with every generation. This was humanity's first great advantage. Evolution no longer depended only on changes in the body. Knowledge itself could evolve. For millions of years, early humans lived among predators far more powerful than themselves. They scavenged gathered plants, hunted when possible, and were hunted in return. Their lives were shaped by fear. Darkness belonged to animals that could see and smell better than they could. Fire began to change that balance. A controlled flame provided warmth, light, and protection. It transformed food and extended activity beyond sunset. Around a fire, individuals could remain close, exchange information, teach skills, and strengthen social bonds. The night was no longer completely owned by predators. Yet fire and stone tools did not immediately make humans dominant. Other human species also used tools, hunted large animals, and cooperated. Neanderthals were skilled hunters. Homo erectus survived across enormous territories for well over 1 million years. Ancient humans were already intelligent, adaptable, and socially complex. The real transformation came when several abilities began reinforcing one another. Better tools made hunting safer. Better communication made cooperation more precise. Cooperation allowed groups to target larger animals. Larger kills supported more people. More people preserved more knowledge. And more knowledge produced even better tools. This was not a simple invention, it was a feedback loop. By around 300,000 years ago, early Homo sapiens had appeared in Africa. At roughly the same broad period, archaeological sites reveal smaller and more carefully made stone points, some likely used as projectiles. People were also transporting materials across greater distances, suggesting wider social networks. That detail matters. A lion can teach its cubs to hunt. A chimpanzee can learn to use a stick. But humans built networks through which ideas could travel far beyond a single family. A useful technique discovered by one person did not have to die with that person. It could spread from group to group and survive for generations. This is cumulative culture, the ability to build on discoveries made by people who lived before you. No other predator possessed it on the same scale. Consider the spear. A sharpened stick extends the reach of the arm. Add a stone point, and it becomes more damaging. Learn to throw it accurately, and the hunter can strike without touching the prey. Add a spear thrower, and the weapon travels faster and farther. Eventually, bows and arrows make it possible to release stored mechanical energy from a distance. Each step separates the human body from the moment of impact. That separation changed the rules of predation. A tiger must approach its prey. A wolf pack must chase, surround, and bite. Even the largest predator risks broken bones, deep wounds, or death during an attack. Humans increasingly learned to injure animals from beyond the reach of hooves, horns, tusks, and teeth. They also learned to turn the landscape itself into a weapon. A hunting group could drive animals toward cliffs, marshes, narrow valleys, concealed hunters, or prepared traps. Fire could alter vegetation and influence where animals moved. Tracks could be followed over long distances. Water sources' migration routes, wind direction, and seasonal behavior could all become part of a plan. The human predator did not merely attack an animal, it attacked the animal's habits. And the weapon was not just the spear. It was memory shared across the group. Imagine a herd moving through a valley. The animals see only scattered humans. They do not understand that those humans have taken different positions. They do not know that hunters met earlier, discussed the terrain, predicted the herd's escape route, and assigned separate roles. The hunt began before the prey arrived. That may be the moment humans became truly terrifying, when they could cooperate around something that did not yet exist. A future event. A plan. Humans could imagine where the herd would run, where the spear would land, and what each person needed to do. The prey was trapped not only by bodies in the landscape, but by an idea inside several minds. Still, the rise of Homo sapiens was not a clean march of progress. Our ancestors failed, starved, became lost, and died from injuries that would seem minor today. Populations sometimes vanished. Technologies appeared in one region and disappeared later. Human evolution was filled with experiments, setbacks, and extinction. For most of our existence, we remained one human species among several. Neanderthals occupied Europe and Western Asia. Denisovans lived across parts of Asia. Other populations survived in regions from Indonesia to southern Africa. When Homo sapiens expanded beyond Africa, they entered worlds that were already inhabited by intelligent humans. What happened next was complicated. There was competition, but also contact and interbreeding. Many people alive today carry DNA inherited from Neanderthals or Denisovans. These were not simple encounters between conquerors and victims. They were meetings between human populations whose relationships may have included conflict exchange, avoidance, cooperation, and reproduction. Yet over time, only Homo sapiens remained. Why? There may never be one complete answer. Climate instability, population, size, disease, competition, and chance probably all played roles. But Homo sapiens may have held a crucial advantage in the size and flexibility of social networks. A small population can be destroyed by a harsh winter, an epidemic, or the loss of experienced hunters. A connected population can exchange mates tools, food information, and shelter. When one group discovers a better technique, the innovation can spread. When conditions change, knowledge from distant people can become a lifeline. Our species did not conquer the planet because every individual was a genius. We did it because many ordinary minds could function as one enormous distributed intelligence. This intelligence moved into deserts, forests, mountains, frozen steppe, tropical islands, and coastlines. Humans learned to hunt animals they had never encountered before. They made clothing shelters, watercraft, fishing equipment, bone tools, needles traps, and specialized weapons. Every new environment added to the human library of survival. And wherever humans arrived, animals faced a predator unlike any they had evolved to recognize. Many large animals were familiar with teeth claws and pursuit. They could flee from a visible attacker, but humans could kill at a distance return, repeatedly coordinate in groups, and target the same species across generations. They could learn from failure and redesign their methods. During the late Pleistocene, many of the world's large animals disappeared. Mammoths, giant ground sloths, enormous marsupials, and many other species vanished at different times in different places. Scientists still debate the balance between human pressure and climate change. The pattern was not identical on every continent, and humans were not the only force reshaping ecosystems. Rapid environmental shifts placed severe stress on many species, but human expansion repeatedly appears as part of the story. Even a relatively small number of hunters can have a major effect when large animals reproduce slowly. Adults may take years to mature. Females may produce only one offspring at a time. If humans kill slightly more animals than the population can replace, the decline may be almost invisible at first. Then, generation by generation, the herds become smaller. The most dangerous predator does not need to kill every animal. It only needs to change the mathematics of survival. Humans also became dangerous because they were not limited to one kind of prey. If large animals became scarce, people could fish, trap rabbits, collect shellfish, gather seeds, dig roots, or hunt birds. This flexibility allowed human populations to endure, while specialized predators declined. A saber-toothed cat could not suddenly become a fisherman. A mammoth could not redesign its behavior in a few generations. Humans could change strategy within a single lifetime. This made them nearly impossible for ecosystems to contain. But the same abilities that made humans dangerous to animals also made humans dangerous to one another. Planning cooperation and ranged weapons could defend a group, but they could also support raids, ambushes, and organized violence. The archaeological record preserves injuries, embedded projectile points, and sites that may represent massacres. Competition over territory, food mates, or revenge could turn human intelligence inward. The most dangerous prey for a human eventually became another human. And yet violence is only part of the story. The same social abilities also created care on an extraordinary scale. Ancient people supported injured companions, shared food, raised children cooperatively, and maintained relationships over distance. Some individuals survived disabilities that would have been fatal without long-term assistance. The force that made humans powerful was not aggression alone. It was cooperation. Cooperation has no moral direction. It can feed the hungry or surround an enemy. It can preserve knowledge or perfect a weapon. It can protect an ecosystem or destroy one. That is why the rise of humanity cannot be explained by calling our ancestors stronger, faster, or more vicious than other animals. They were dangerous because they could combine imagination with teamwork. A wolf pack cooperates brilliantly, but it does not design a new hunting system and teach it across hundreds of generations. A lion remembers its territory, but it does not draw meaning from distant landscapes described by strangers. An eagle can strike from above, but it cannot improve its talents by studying the failures of its ancestors. Humans could do all of these things in another form. They could inherit information. By the end of the Ice Age, humanity had spread across most habitable parts of the planet. In evolutionary terms, this happened with astonishing speed. A tropical primate from Africa had become a hunter of Arctic animals, a navigator of open water, a survivor of deserts, and an engineer of landscapes. No single human possessed all the knowledge required for this achievement. Humanity became dominant because knowledge lived between people. That is the real answer to the question of when humans became the most dangerous animal on Earth. It was not when the first spear was sharpened, not when the first fire was controlled, not when the first mammoth fell. It happened gradually whenever our ancestors connected tools, language memory, and cooperation into a system that could improve itself. Once that system existed, biology could no longer keep pace. An animal might evolve thicker hide over thousands of generations. Humans could invent a sharper point in one afternoon. Prey might change its migration route. Humans could communicate the new route by nightfall. A predator might become faster. Humans could build a trap. From that moment onward, the contest was no longer muscle against muscle or tooth against tooth. It was evolution against invention. And invention moved faster. Today, the power created by those ancient hunters has expanded beyond anything they could have imagined. We reshape rivers, forests, climates, and the future of other species. We can protect animals from extinction or push them toward it. We can cooperate across the planet or use the same networks to multiply destruction. The fragile primate beside the fire is still inside us. So is the planner. So is the hunter. Our ancestors became Earth's most dangerous animal, not because they escaped nature, but because they discovered how to rewrite the rules of survival. The question now is no longer how humans became so powerful. It is whether the species that learned to dominate every environment can finally learn to control itself.